Hi, everybody. John Boutte, Buffalo Sports Museum, with another episode of In the Vault. As you can see, we're looking back at a Buffalo Sabres player that didn't play many years in Buffalo. He only played less than 2 years in Buffalo. But his impact on Buffalo sports, especially the Sabres, has left a tremendous amount of respect in the community. Tim Horton was a player who came to Buffalo with an enormous amount of talent, an enormous amount of history. He was well respected in the National Hockey League. And coming to Buffalo in the young team that they had was a brilliant move by general manager Punch Imlach, who used to coach Tim in Toronto. He arrived here at the beginning of the 1972-73 season, playing in his first game in October of 72 for the Sabres. And quite simply took a young group of raw defensemen, such as Mike Robitaille, Larry Carriere, and really turned them into from AHL defensemen to NHL defensemen. And I know Mike Robitaille, who I know fairly well, will stand by the statement that without Tim, I don't think the Sabres make the playoffs in 72-73. He was that person that just put the team over the edge. They had some talent, obviously, with Perreault and Crozier and Martin and new guys like Jim Schoenfeld, who was taken in the draft that spring. But I think it really was that calming influence, that leadership of Tim Horton that took the team over the top to make the playoffs for the very first time in 72-73. Whenever you speak of Tim, obviously the thoughts you think of first, which is sad, is the way he died on that night, February 21st, 1974. It's inevitable that you always think back of that dreadful night and that awful morning with however you found out, whether it was on the radio or television, or in my case, as a 10-year-old in Kenmore, New York, finding out from our lunch lady at Lindbergh Elementary School that morning. And I couldn't believe it because we had just watched the game hours before against Toronto, and there he was on the ice. There he was doing everything that he always did, and then he was gone. And for a young fan like myself, like I said, 10 years old, it was just stunning. It really was. At that point in your life, you're really not used to death. There's not a lot of people in your life that have died, hopefully anyway. Maybe a grandparent or something like that, or an aunt. But no one at that point in your life who is so important to you, and I know he was important to me growing up, and I was just a fan. I can't imagine how important he was to the players like Schoenfeld and Robitaille and Carriere and the people that played with him every single day and saw him every day. So you always think of the way he died, that horrible car crash, coming back on the QEW from the game in Toronto, which the Sabres lost, by the way, 4-2. Interesting thing about that game is Horton only played 2 periods. He'd gotten cut in the face. He had a broken bone in his jaw. He was banged up, and he only played 2 periods. And he still, in a 4-2 loss, was the Sabres' only star in that game, earning third star accolades from the from the Toronto Maple Leaf media. That's how respected he was, not only in Buffalo, but also in Toronto. And again, for a young person like myself, it was just devastation. You couldn't believe it. You know, you had to talk to your parents about it, and they had to explain, you know, what exactly happened. And, you know, you got reports in the newspaper the next day. And it really was shocking for everyone in Buffalo. Here you can see the game that night. Unbelievably, the Sabres had to play that night at home against Atlanta. And you just never forget images like this. The Sabres wearing makeshift black armbands in memory of their dear friend. And unbelievably, they took the ice, which I still can't fathom to this day, that, you know, merely hours after learning of this, they had to play a hockey game. And they were paired up against the Atlanta Flames that night, February 21st, 1974. And fell to an early 4-1 deficit. And I can understand why. Anyone can understand why. The Flames were not a great team at that time. Expansion 72, 73. So they weren't a great team, but you can understand Buffalo's not interest in playing the game. I get it. But to their credit, led by Donnie Luce, the great Donnie Luce, I should say, Jerry Meehan, Paul Terbenche, who was, by all accounts, Tim Horton's best friend on the team, rallied back from 4-1 down to tie 4-4. And it still stands to this day, probably the darkest moment in team history. Tim was the only Buffalo Sabre to die a Buffalo Sabre. And his impact is still felt today. You can't drive a mile down a road in Western New York without seeing a Tim Hortons donut shop, and which he started in the early 1960s in Toronto, St. Catharines, and Hamilton, and then opened up here in Western New York on Niagara Falls Boulevard. But I just wanted to make a little tribute to Tim on the anniversary of his death, February 21st, 1974. The Sabres struggled that year, missing the playoffs again. It was just a bad year all around. Perreault broke his leg. Obviously, Tim Horton's tragic death. And the team really never got in any kind of momentum going. And the team missed the playoffs. Heroically, we all know the story. The next season, the team went on to the Stanley Cup Finals and losing to the Flyers in the 75 final. But I don't think anyone in those early years of the Sabres could ever forget Tim Horton. So we hope you like the segment. Again, it's a sad one, but it's one that has to be told in Buffalo sports history. And we miss him. We miss Tim Horton. Never met him, but boy, his memory sure lives on. We hope you like the segment about Tim, and follow us here on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. If you're new, I'm on Twitter at John Boutte, Facebook, Buffalo Sports Museum, and YouTube under my name, John Boutte. Hopefully you like the segment. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.